Imagine this, a young man named Mike. He lives in a bustling modern town. Skyscrapers, offices, parks, and cafes fill his daily life. His eyes are full of ambition because, for him, work isn't just a way to earn money. It's a passion, a life purpose. But, as is often the case, Mike got too caught up in his career climb. He spends days and nights at the office, forgetting about family, friends, and even his dreams that once seemed so important. So can we really find balance between career and personal life? What if we told you it's possible? Today, we'll share Mike's journey to harmony and how his story can help change your life. By the end of this video, you'll know the secrets to not only succeed at work, but also make time for yourself and your loved ones. Ready to take this journey with Mike? Let's begin. Mike was a typical office worker. Every morning, the alarm clock rang. A quick breakfast followed, and soon he was on the subway heading to the city center again. Tall glass buildings, gray asphalt underfoot, the sound of traffic. It had all become so routine, so invisible to him. His job at an advertising firm was satisfying, but something felt off. It had been a long time since he felt joy in life, or noticed the beauty of autumn trees, or the coolness of the morning air. Mike's office was on the 15th floor, offering a breathtaking view of the city. But lately, he barely looked out the window, almost forgetting how stunning the view was. His office was always lit by the glow of his computer screen. Piles of paperwork covered his desk, and the phones rang incessantly. His colleagues often joked that he lived at work. One evening, as Mike stayed late yet again, his friend John, a cheerful and ever-optimistic guy, approached him. "Mike, you're still here?" he asked with a smile. "Why don't you head home? You've already finished everything." Mike looked up from his screen and sighed. "It's not that simple, John. I can't afford to relax. There's too much to get done." John smiled, shaking his head. "You know, when I was in your position, I used to think the same, that if I worked just a little harder, I could get everything done. But you know what? The more I worked, the less time I had for what really mattered. Family, friends, even myself." Mike just sighed, not knowing what to say. Something stirred inside him, but he quickly silenced that voice. Work was waiting. Weeks passed, and Mike continued to immerse himself in his work. He took on more tasks, answered every call, and fulfilled every request from his boss. He felt that he had to be the perfect employee, or all his efforts would be in vain. But along with that, he began to notice how life outside the office seemed to pass him by. He saw his friends less and less, barely talked to his parents, and his evening walks in the park became a distant memory. One evening, as Mike stayed late at work once again, he accidentally caught his reflection in the glass door of the office. He stopped. A tired, dim-eyed, slightly hunched figure looked back at him. In that moment, Mike suddenly realized how far he had strayed from the person he once was. Somewhere along the way, he had lost the lightness and joy he used to feel. In that moment, something shifted inside him. He sat down at his desk and began to reflect. Did his entire life really need to revolve around work? Why did he feel obligated to do everything perfectly, while forgetting about himself? He recalled John's words and wondered, what if he too was missing out on the important moments in life, driven by the fear of not being good enough? The next day, Mike decided to take a step back. He arrived at work early, but instead of diving right into his tasks, he walked over to the window. The morning sun reflected off the buildings of the city, and for the first time in a long while, Mike felt the warm light on his face. He stood there, just looking at the city, feeling something soften inside him. Maybe he really could try to change something. A few days later, Mike decided to meet up with John after work. They picked a small cafe on the corner that served great coffee. Over a cup of fragrant espresso, Mike opened up to his friend. "You know, John, I realized that all this time, I've been chasing an illusion. I thought that if I worked harder, I could control everything. But it seems I've started to lose control of my own life." John nodded with a smile. That's the first step, to realize that you need to change something. Mike started thinking more about how he spent his time. He began to notice how much energy he wasted on things that didn't bring him joy. Why am I working so much? He asked himself. Is it really worth sacrificing time with loved ones? He decided it was time to change his life. The first change was small but significant. Mike started leaving work on time. He no longer stayed late or took work home with him. In the beginning, it felt strange. It seemed like he was missing something, but with each passing day, the feeling of anxiety lessened. In the evenings, he started spending his time differently. Instead of watching TV or sitting at his computer, Mike began walking around the city. He rediscovered the things that used to bring him joy. The rustling of leaves underfoot, the bright lights of the evening streets, the sounds of the city living its own life. Soon, Mike started noticing changes in himself. He felt the tension slowly fading away and joy returning to his life. But this was only the beginning. He realized that to find true balance, he needed to dig deeper into what was really important to him. One morning, sitting in the park with a cup of coffee, Mike thought to himself, "What brings me joy? What am I missing out on while immersing myself in work?" He took out a piece of paper and started writing down everything that came to mind. Time with family, friends, and a hobby he had long forgotten. Photography. These simple things seemed so distant, but in reality they were always close. He just needed to take a step toward them. After that morning reflection in the park, Mike made an important decision. He would start bringing back the things he once loved. First, he decided to revive his passion for photography. On the weekend, he went for a walk with his camera. The city that once seemed so monotonous now revealed its beauty. Every corner held something remarkable that he had long overlooked. Photography became more than just a hobby for Mike. It became a way to reset. Every shot allowed him to see the world anew, as if time slowed down and he could savor moments that had once passed him by. Through the lens, he found a harmony that he had been missing for so long. As Mike gradually reintroduced joys and hobbies into his life, he also began to rethink his work schedule. He had an honest conversation with his boss, explaining that he wanted to change his approach to work to maintain balance. To Mike's surprise, his boss was understanding. Instead of increasing hours, Mike set clear boundaries and focused on productivity. Mike noticed that he became more efficient at work. He had once thought that the more time he spent on tasks, the better the result would be. But now, after learning to rest and recharge, his productivity soared and the quality of his work improved. He no longer felt drained and began to enjoy his job again. On weekends, Mike started seeing his friends more often. One day, while getting ready for a picnic, Mike realized how long it had been since he spent time with loved ones. Lying on the grass and watching the clouds, he smiled, feeling like his life was finally becoming fuller and richer. These moments with friends reminded him that life isn't just about work, but about the time spent with the people who matter most. Looking back, Mike realized that his life had changed. He used to believe that success was measured by the number of hours worked, tasks completed, and career accomplishments. But now, he understood that true success is about finding balance between work and personal life, between achievements and happiness. Mike no longer felt torn between two worlds. His career was flourishing, but now he knew how to preserve his personal space and time for himself. He no longer feared missing out on opportunities at work because he had found the harmony he had been seeking his entire life. Dear viewers, if Mike's story resonated with you, remember, each of us can find a balance between work and personal life. The key is to listen to yourself and not be afraid to make changes. We are the architects of our lives, and it's up to us to make them fulfilling and harmonious. Share in the comments how you find balance in your life and what advice has helped you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, give it a thumbs up, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. There are many more interesting and inspiring stories ahead that will help you live a better life. Thank you for being with us today, and see you next time.